internet, it is Steph. I don't know if this video is a long time coming or if some of you are shocked, but for those of you who don't know, I used to work at a place called Buzzfeed. So I feel like I should start talking about how I first got my job at Buzzfeed. My way of getting hired at Buzzfeed was very different from the average person's way of getting hired. Normally what happens is every producer there, every big person in power has started from the bottom. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Everyone starts as an intern, but an intern at Buzzfeed isn't like an actual college intern. An intern there is more like a PA, which pretty much means you have to have a college degree, a few years of work experience, and then you pretty much have a 9-to-6 job doing PA work, but they call it an internship. So you're an intern for 6 months at Buzzfeed, and if they like you in the internship and your work, then they can make you a fellow in their fellowship program. The fellowship program is pretty much what a normal producer is, just doesn't have as high a quota for videos, but it's the same amount of pressure, deadlines, all fun things like that. And then after your 3-month fellowship, they can make you a junior producer. But the thing is, if you're ever not promoted at Buzzfeed, you get let go. So if you are a fellow and they don't want to hire you for a full-time producer, you can't just stay a fellow, you get let go. So it's either you get promoted or you get let go. It's like that. I did not have to do the whole internship program thing. What happened was I already had a YouTube following, and Buzzfeed was trying to gain a larger LGBTQ+ perspective and audience, so they brought me on as a resident. A resident at Buzzfeed pretty much means you can do whatever you want. You could just focus on being in videos or giving your input in workrooms or things like that. I wanted to do the whole thing, so I wrote my videos, edited my videos, produced my videos, did the whole shebang bang that a producer does. Because if I'm gonna do something, I go all in. Why did I even try working at Buzzfeed if I already had a steady career from YouTube? So I had just graduated in May. In July, I got out of a really crappy relationship. I had all this free time and I felt really lost in LA. I felt like, I don't know, maybe I made a mistake moving out here. So I reached out to Buzzfeed and I was like, hey, if you ever need help with a video, this is who I am, let me know. 2 days later, they asked me to come in for an interview, and that same day they offered me the position. So I was all for it, I took it, I was so excited. And for the first time, I felt like I had a routine. I felt like I had a community. I felt like maybe moving to LA wasn't so bad after all. When I first started working at Buzzfeed, I was on their diversity team. I was so excited. I had an amazing team leaders. We had check-ins, we had progressive conversations. I learned so much at Buzzfeed, and I think my main goal and objective when I was there was everything that I felt I couldn't do on my channel because it's more PG, I was like, I'm gonna do it at Buzzfeed. So a majority of my Buzzfeed videos that I've made, I'm not even in. You might not even know I made them. I made a video called I'm a sex worker but I'm not, and questions you have for sex workers. I made a video called Santa's Tribe Reindeer for the first time. I made one which was LGBT people recreate iconic movie posters. Well, I guess that's not like PG-13, but still, I did a lot of cool videos when I was there. So because Buzzfeed is trendy and like the internet, and the internet is always changing, Buzzfeed is always changing. So every few months or every quarter they do a reorganization where they make different teams, you get moved around where you sit, things like that. And typically for some reorgs, they say who's going to be hired and who's not. To this day, the one thing I can say that really rubbed me the wrong way was how Taylor was let go from Buzzfeed. Clearly I wasn't in the room, but from what I was told, and I trust her, it was a really sketchy situation. They told her not to tell people about it. They told her maybe there's a chance we'll keep you, but you can't tell anyone about any of this, and then they still let her go. She was like, is this a test? It made her very paranoid. It just was a very unprofessional situation, and that put a really bad taste in my mouth. And during that reorg, I found out that Buzzfeed was keeping me. Now I already know some of you are probably thinking, oh, you just stopped liking working at Buzzfeed because Taylor stopped working there. No, that's not the case. I was friends with a bunch of other people at Buzzfeed. I had a good community at Buzzfeed. I did my own thing at Buzzfeed. So that next quarter, things started to change. And I feel like it was with the company overall, not just with one employee or 2 employees. As I'm sure you've been seeing in the media and things like that, Buzzfeed has been knocking off employees like flies, which for anyone, that really decreases employee morale because people like security. I mean, you're not gonna even like being in a relationship if your partner is like, hey, maybe you'll get dumped. Like, you need security to feel good somewhere. And everyone at Buzzfeed didn't feel good. Everyone at Buzzfeed was really scared, and it just put a whole different feel For Buzzfeed, when I first was brought on, during my first interview, it was strictly for diversity. Then when I was applying to stay at Buzzfeed, it was for their diversity team. So I come thinking I'm ready to do diversity, I've got so many ideas down, and then I am told, surprise, our diversity team is drastically cut and we have a place for you, Steph. We're gonna put you on the short, scripted, dark comedy team. Like, what? I mean, I get it. I'm funny. I know I'm a funny person. I have a funny way about doing things. But don't you want diversity? And I'm never one to say no when someone tells me to try something new. If someone wants me to try something new, I say, okay, I'm gonna try. So I tried. And my mentor, because you're given a mentor at Buzzfeed, was this girl named Kelsey, who is a development partner at Buzzfeed. She's hilarious. Kelsey, if you're watching this, I love you. When I was first confused, why am I on this team? It was because actually Kelsey was on that team. So I was told they wanted to put people with a mentor who they can emulate, which, you know, I was flattered. Kelsey and I are both opinionated Floridians. I feel like it's a very specific breed, so I totally get that. And Kelsey was great. There weren't a lot of team check-ins. There was a lot of miscommunications. I don't know if it's because we're in this day and age of technology, but it was just a different feeling. It didn't feel like a community, which I get because it's a company and companies aren't obligated to do that, but it was just very different. If I didn't have Kelsey, it would have been a lot harder. Here's the thing, because I get asked this all the time, especially by young teenagers, which is, how is it working at Buzzfeed? Don't you love working at Buzzfeed? What's your favorite part about working at Buzzfeed? It must be this amazing, magical place. This is the way I would word working at Buzzfeed. I imagine it's kind of like working at Disney. When you just go to Disney and you're a visitor at Disney, you just see the magic and the fun and the castle and all of that stuff. It's just a good magical time. But when you work at Disney, you may get to make the magic, but you're also seeing all of the characters with their heads off. Buzzfeed, at the end of the day, is a company. And just like any other company, they don't always put moral values first, they put getting money first. Because you can't make a living on moral values, unfortunately, especially here in LA. And especially at a company where literally 20-year-olds are given millions of dollars. I don't think any 20-year-old, I don't think anyone under 40 should just be handed millions of dollars. I don't trust anyone that age. If someone were to hand me $1 million, I would be like, this is a mistake. I'm gonna put this into an account and I'm not even gonna touch this until I'm 40. And now this isn't just for Buzzfeed. I think for any company, when it's a majority of them are 20-year-olds, shit's gonna hit the fan. There's just no way it's not. Here's the thing also with Buzzfeed that I've noticed is I feel, and this is just how I feel, I could be completely wrong, I don't know. I feel that if Buzzfeed doesn't handpick you to have X amount of power, they're going to get mad if you start to get power. So with some creators, specifically Gabby and Allison, for example, they were put in a weird position where they were told, you can't make videos outside of Buzzfeed if you want to work for Buzzfeed, or there was some catch-22 about it, so they ended up leaving Buzzfeed. And then for other employees, they were let go for doing outside work. What I even noticed working at Buzzfeed is that I was given a lot of freedom, which was great for me, but at the same time I felt kind of bad that other people didn't have it. Like someone else who was in the same power position as me was working on a movie project, not even in the state, and couldn't tell anyone about it because of the fear of losing their job. Meanwhile, me, I literally go to my boss at Buzzfeed. I was like, hey, I'm gonna film some web video for logo for Gay Ski Week, so I'm gonna be gone for a week, bye. And they were like, okay, go for it, Steph. Fly, little bird. So I was given a lot of leeway. I just feel like you should hold every employee to the same level. Maybe it was different because I already came with a following, so they couldn't say stop, because I already was an established internet person. I don't know. Something that also really got to me was BuzzFeed wrote some not nice things about peers of mine. Specific people are Bria and Chrissy. They make a lot of great LGBTQ+ and sex positive videos. They're incredible. And BuzzFeed would write these articles about them saying that their videos were disgusting or disturbing. I don't remember the exact word. And they would credit them only when they were discussing about them in a poor light. But they would take GIFs from their videos, pictures from their videos, things like that for their articles and listicles, and wouldn't credit them, which is technically kind of illegal since they're an LLC. Are they perfect? No, but I feel like no company is. And at the end of the day, Buzzfeed is a company. Buzzfeed definitely cares way more about quantity than quality of videos. There have been a handful of videos I've made that I kept thinking this would be so much better and way better quality if I had an extra day to film or an extra day to edit, but you have a quota you have to meet. And it sounds harsh and sad, but that's the real world. I feel like anytime you put a huge pressure on something you love, it almost makes you love it less. Like, I know people who are video producers at Buzzfeed who now hate producing videos. Just like I know people who used to love theater, but then they go into the real world and they hate it. I feel like Buzzfeed and I, we had a relationship. And it was a good relationship. We had a good run, we had a few good laughs, but at the end of the day, we just didn't meet up. And especially because my passion was diversity. At the end of the day, they didn't want more diversity. They want more viral hits. They want more things that would get views. When they even said, we don't really know where we would place you, I was like, I don't know where you would place me either. I don't think they're wrong for wanting what they want, which is quantity and viral hits. And I don't think I'm wrong for wanting what I want, which is quality and representation. So of course I was very sad leaving Buzzfeed because this was a place I called home. This was a place I felt like I belonged to. And also it's a steady paycheck, where living in LA, having a steady paycheck is very reassuring. But after I left Buzzfeed, I became so much happier. I felt like this huge weight was lifted. And although I love being part of a team, I love having a boss, there has been a lot of great liberation being my own boss and running my channel again. And since leaving BuzzFeed, I've received way more opportunities than I would have ever imagined. And I guess the moral of the story is, even though something may seem great from the outside, it's very different on the inside. It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's different. It's not infatuation. And sometimes when you have a breakup, whether it's from a person or a company, although it might seem scary at first, you will end up being somewhere where you're so much happier. I am so thankful. Now, this isn't a video of me saying anti-BuzzFeed, boo BuzzFeed, because that's not the case. Honestly, if I didn't start working at BuzzFeed, I wouldn't have such a strong community in LA. I probably wouldn't even be in LA anymore. I didn't feel like I really fit in this city until I started working at BuzzFeed, until I started making friends. I mean, there's people who I'm friends with who still work at BuzzFeed, and those people are definitely gonna be at my wedding. Frickin' Gustav surprised me with a sloth. Some of my best memories in LA were working at BuzzFeed. And if I could go back and change the fact that I worked at BuzzFeed, I wouldn't for the world. I learned so much at BuzzFeed. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. The links for my merch store, my Twitter, my Instagram, all that good stuff will be in the description, so be sure to check that out. I love you all. Have a fantastic day.